Welcome to Implausible Nature, home to competitive Black Templars gameplay.
Alright, so on today's video, we are going to be talking about troops choices in our continue our Codex review here. We are not going to talk about Crusader squads. We did talk about them in our review of the Black Templars Index video, which you can see right here. So to start off, we are going to start with Assault Intercessors. These guys are a really great troops choice for us. They've kind of what we've been waiting for a long time for a Primaris close combat troops choice, be able to take chainswords. Now with 9th edition, they have Astartes chainswords and heavy bolt pistols, so you get that extra AP, which is crucial. That first pip of AP is always the most important, one of the most important when talking about dealing damage. The new codex also has given the sergeant a option for different close combat weapons, which is great. Now you can run him with a power fist, a thunder hammer, or a power sword, all of which are excellent choices depending on how much points you have to spend left over when you're done building your list. They are cheap, coming in at 19 points per model with a Primaris stat line, and the Astartes chainsword makes them really, really good for Black Templars. Volume of shots is critical for us, and these guys have it in spades. They also have exclusive access to the Honor the Chapter stratagem, which is really awesome because now it's even cheaper. Instead of being 3 CP, it is only 2, and that is going to be really helpful for them to be able to get over that extra bit. You can do more with a smaller squad, which is great. And then, of course, in the new Codex, Transhuman Physiology is now Primaris exclusive. And then they also have Gene Wrought Might, which is essentially our Knights of Sigismund ability, only you can use it when you're not charging or you have been charged or whatnot. So definitely a lot of great things to say about the Assault Intercessors. They are going to be one of our top choices for taking troops. They're cheap, they're good in combat. With us, they're very fast. So
not only that, and normally this is Alex's realm, but they look badass. Let's be honest here. These
yeah,
guys
absolutely.
have been what we've been looking for Black Templar styled units for a really long time. Very easy to customize these, especially with the multi-part kit coming. Just great units. Exactly what we've been looking for a troops unit for Primaris. So next up we have the Incursors. So the biggest one that we want to take this unit for is going to be for the concealed positions option. So that allows you to deploy after your opponent has deployed anywhere up to 9 inches away from an enemy model or their deployment zone. So that gets you a little bit of flexibility on the board to kind of control the flow and the footprint of the board. This will allow you to get a little bit of those objectives early on, which is going to be very important, and helping you get to where you really need to or out of fire lanes if necessary. They do have reasonable close combat ability with the paired combat blades. So that's going to be that first pip of AP, so with a -1. However, they do not grant an additional attack, so it's going to be a little bit step down from the Assault Intercessors as far as the close combat ability. However, they make up for it with their shooting. So their shooting ignores cover as well as modifiers to the hit roll. So they do have some ranged ability to kind of give it a little bit of some coverage at range if they're not in close combat. So that's a great thing. They're also reasonably priced at 21 points per model, and also have the option to take 1 mine per unit for 10 points. Not a bad upgrade if you have the extra points. Their stratagem use, they have guerrilla tactics, which allows you to put them back into reserves to deploy again later in the board, which can help you retake an objective or contest one later on in the game if you have the need to do so, or potentially take a table core for secondaries. So a great use of stratagem there. They have access to smokescreen, which is 1 CP that allows your unit to gain a -1 to hit to incoming shooting for that turn. Great defensive strategy that'll keep those guys alive, especially when we're primarily using them in MSU style 5-man units. Transhuman, just like our Assault Intercessors, would be very useful. Gene Rot Might, again, all Primaris have access to this, and it just gives them additional bonuses if Nisus Sigismund's not active.
Yeah, I really like these guys. I use them a lot in 8th, even over like regular intercessors, because of their ability to get close with concealed positions, deploy on an objective, or get a first turn charge to tie up a unit, an enemy unit in close combat. The ability for them to ignore not only all the cover bonus to your armor, but also all ballistic skill modifiers is really, really powerful, especially with all the terrain providing all those types of bonuses, and they can just flat out ignore it, which is really nice. I mean, their guns are nothing special, they're bolters essentially, but being able to do that can certainly make a difference in their game. The paired combat blades went to a -1 AP, like Bob said. They lost the exploding 6s from 8th edition, which is okay. The AP is more consistent and slightly better on average than the exploding 6s was. Overall, great unit, good mainstay type of troops unit to deploy. So next up, we have Infiltrators. So I was down on Infiltrators for a long time, especially in 8th. I felt they were too expensive for what they did, and Incursors are just flat out better in almost every way. That's changed a little bit in 9th. They've definitely made Infiltrators a little bit better. They still have their Omni Scramblers, which gives you great board control with that extra 3 inches of deep strike denial. They essentially can't be charged when someone deploys near them, which is great. They have the ability to take a comms array, so you could utilize Rites of Battle or Tactical Precision from another Phobos lieutenant or captain from anywhere on the board, which is nice. Their guns are pretty decent. They have auto wounds on 6s, which can be certainly helpful against higher toughness targets. But again, they're essentially bolters otherwise, so don't expect too much damage out of them. Mainly what we would use them for is take a 5-man squad, probably just one, and sit them on an important objective that you need to hold and keep your enemy from sneaking up behind you with a deep striker or strategic reserves or something like that, because they have that 12-inch bubble, and you can take a Helix Gauntlet on them, which has gotten much better. Instead of having a sort of apothecary type heal, now it is going to ignore the first failed save, which is really, really strong. So their downside is they are expensive, especially when you upgrade to the comms or the Helix Gauntlet. They can get pretty pricey. So that's why we'd recommend probably just running one squad of them if you need that extra board control for your army.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys got way stronger, but as Alex said, they're not really spammable due to their price. If you're taking a Helix Gauntlet, it's going to be 130 for a troops unit, which is pretty hefty. You're getting into more elite unit choices at that point, so you want to be able to kill stuff with that unit at that price. However, what it does give you is a ton of durability. So one of the things that you can use with it, just like their Phobos partners, the Incursors, is Smokescreen. So you combo a Smokescreen with your Helix Gauntlet, and you have a -1 to hit, and you ignore the first damage that you get from a failed save. This gives you a backline unit that is very durable, that you can keep in your back part of your board while the rest of your list advances. With the Omni Scramblers disallowing those charges, you have a very, very good troops unit that's objective secured, that you don't have to worry about your opponent coming in and dropping in and stealing an objective from you right off at the end of the game or at the beginning of a turn. So initially I was not too high on them, but I think a lot of lists might be useful having one of these guys. Advance the rest of your list, get one hold in the back lines that'll be very durable, hold up for quite a little while. And our final unit is going to be the Intercessors. So these guys are going to be a unit that you are familiar with. So there are bog standard non-close combat units. So they have our bolt rifles, which has the strength 4, -1 AP shots. So that gives them some reasonable firepower. You know, you can upgrade them to the heavy bolt rifles as well as these assault bolt rifles to give some additional shots. To keep them bog standard cheap, standard bolt rifles are kind of your best bet. These guys are more for holding objectives rather than advancing with the style of play that we enjoy, but you can take those assault weapons if you so choose. They also do have the ability to give your sergeant some power weapons, whether it be the power sword, power fist, or thunder hammer, to give it a little bit of close combat utility. However, again, these are going to be backline units, so you're not really going to want to upgrade them too much with that now that we have the assault intercessors. They are reasonably cheap as well, clocking in at 20 points a model, so just over the assault intercessors. So that's what I feel our intercessors do for us in general. The other three options are probably a little bit better for us, but these 4 units are kind of where we're at for usefulness for the Black Templars.
Yeah, Intercessors are still a solid troops choice. They've got pretty good firepower. I personally like the auto bolt rifles. 5 of them throw out 15 shots a turn, which is pretty decent. It's going to serve you well in most every situation. You can advance with them, which helps with our chapter tactic. It lets you, I don't know that I'd spend 2 CP to rapid fire a 5-man unit, you know, but if you wanted to throw out a ton of bolters, you could take a 10-man. That would probably be worth it because you go from 30 shots to 60, which is pretty significant. But again, you're looking at essentially a bolter profile. So while that's a lot of shots, don't expect to bring down tanks with it, obviously. That being said, that is something that you could do, especially in tactical doctrine, which would get you that extra pip of AP, which is really nice. If you're going to run these guys, I would go with assault or auto bolt rifles, simply because it lets them advance and keep up with the rest of your army. And still shoot if you need to, you know, and you get those extra shots, which is nice. The other troops units in the Codex, I think maybe an honorable mention to heavy intercessors. They don't really fit our style of play, but they aren't a bad unit per se. They just are a unit that you want to camp in the backfield with. You know, that's not typically our style of play. We want to be moving. Black Templars, I think, are very good at moving into the midfield and holding the midfield. We don't necessarily need to worry about people coming in behind us because we are able to handle those threats mostly in melee, which is fine. You know, and the heavy intercessors they're not going to want to move a lot, which doesn't fit our play style. So they're not a bad unit, but I don't think they're an optimal unit for Black Templars. And then tactical squads, absolutely no reason to take tactical squads at all. Crusader squads are flat out better. I think that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button and subscribe. Make sure you get notified on all of our latest content, and we'll see you next time.